I never thought I'd buy a house for $1. In fact, I never imagined that the biggest risk of my life would turn into my greatest success. It all started with a simple desire to own property, not just any property, but a place I could restore and transform into something special. As a high school teacher in Detroit, real estate was always out of my reach. Prices were rising, and my savings barely covered rent, let alone a down payment. Then, one evening, I stumbled across a listing from the Detroit Land Bank Authority, abandoned property available for just $1. I clicked on the details. The house looked like it had been through a war. Broken windows, a collapsed porch, graffiti-covered walls, and a roof that sagged like an old mattress. Still, there was something about it. Maybe it was the challenge. Maybe it was the price. The next morning, I drove to City Hall and signed the paperwork. Just like that, I became a homeowner, and then reality hit. When I stepped inside for the first time, the smell of mold and decay nearly knocked me over. The place was filled with abandoned furniture, rotting wood, and piles of garbage. The kitchen had a hole in the floor big enough to fall through. I wasn't just dealing with a cosmetic renovation, I was managing a complete disaster. This wasn't just a fixer-upper, it was a total rebuild. My first instinct was to call in professionals, but quotes from contractors came back astronomical. $150,000 just to get the place livable. That was more than my entire salary. That's when I realized something: I had to become my own property manager. I spent the next few weeks studying real estate, facility management, and property rehabilitation. I learned about zoning laws, building permits, and tax incentives for historic restorations. I attended community meetings and connected with local real estate investors. Most importantly, I developed a phased renovation plan, prioritizing the most urgent issues first. Structural integrity: the foundation was cracked, the roof leaked, and the electrical system was a fire hazard. Pest control: the house had become home to raccoons, mice, and who knows what else. Interior overhaul: walls needed to be reinforced, floors replaced, and new plumbing installed. Curb appeal: once the interior was livable, I'd focus on making the house attractive for future resale. Armed with knowledge, I got to work. Clearing out the junk was an ordeal. I filled 2 dumpsters with broken furniture, old newspapers, and bizarre items, including a collection of porcelain dolls that looked straight out of a horror movie. Then, while removing an old closet, I found something surprising: a wooden chest covered in dust. Inside were letters dating back to the 1940s. They told the story of a couple, Margaret and James, who once lived here. James had left for war, promising to return, but after his last letter, there were no more. I was holding a piece of history in my hands. I quickly learned that property management isn't just about fixing things, it's about solving problems. Hiring the right team: couldn't do everything myself. I reached out to local contractors and negotiated better deals by hiring small businesses instead of big-name companies. I also found volunteers from a community program that helped revitalize Detroit's abandoned homes. Budgeting smartly: instead of replacing everything, I salvaged what I could. Hardwood floors refinished instead of replaced. Kitchen cabinets repainted instead of thrown away. I even found a clawfoot bathtub at a salvage yard for $50. Navigating city regulations: the house was part of a historic district, meaning I had to follow specific renovation guidelines. Instead of seeing this as an obstacle, I used it to my advantage. Applying for grants and tax credits meant for restoring old homes. Every day brought new challenges. One evening, as I was working late, I heard footsteps upstairs. I was alone. I grabbed a crowbar and crept upstairs. The sound was coming from the attic. Slowly, I pushed the door open. Nothing, but there, in the center of the attic, was an old rocking chair swaying slightly. That night, I received a message from an unknown number. Some houses aren't meant to be lived in. Walk away. I ignored it. This house had waited long enough for someone to bring it back to life. After nearly a year of hard work, the transformation was complete. The house, once a wreck, was now a stunning, tastefully restored home. The exterior, fresh siding, new landscaping, and a wraparound porch that welcomed guests. The kitchen granite countertops, farmhouse sink, and custom cabinets, the living room exposed brick, refinished hardwood floors, and a fireplace, the attic converted into a cozy reading nook. As I was putting the finishing touches on the house, a real estate investor knocked on my door. "I've been watching your progress," he said. "This house is a masterpiece. Would you consider selling?" He offered me $275,000. I was speechless. This house had cost me $1 to buy and about $60,000 to renovate. Through careful budgeting and sweat equity, selling it would mean a $214,000 profit. It was tempting, but then I thought about James and Margaret, the love story left unfinished. So instead of selling, I turned the house into an Airbnb. The first booking, a retired couple from out of state. As they checked in, the woman stopped and stared at the letters in the shadow box. "James," she whispered. I looked at her. "Did you know him?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I was Margaret's niece. She never stopped waiting for him." That night, I sat by the fireplace, thinking about the journey. This house wasn't just bricks and wood, it was history, a second chance, a dream revived, and thanks to smart property management, real estate investment, and a whole lot of faith, it became my greatest success. The takeaway: what I learned about real estate and facility management. Real estate is more than just buying and selling, it's about vision. A neglected property can be turned into a dream home with the right management, patience, and persistence. Payoff: history matters. Understanding a property's past can shape its future. This house taught me everything I needed to know about property management, real estate, and the power of believing in something others see as worthless. From a $1 wreck to a dream home. This was my unbelievable renovation journey. From $1 wreck to dream home. The lessons behind my unbelievable renovation journey. My journey from buying an abandoned house for $1 to transforming it into a dream home wasn't just about renovation, it was a masterclass in property management, facility management, legal navigation, and moral responsibility. Property and facility management perspective. Renovating an abandoned home isn't just about fixing broken walls or replacing old plumbing. It requires strategic planning, financial discipline, and efficient facility management. Property management considerations. Due diligence before purchase. I should have conducted a thorough inspection before committing. Instead, I walked in blind, discovering major structural and legal challenges after purchase. Budgeting and financial management. I quickly learned to maximize my limited funds by prioritizing urgent repairs, negotiating with contractors, and sourcing affordable materials. Rental and resale value assessment. By tracking property values in Detroit, I realized that I wasn't just renovating a house, I was investing in an appreciating asset that could generate long-term wealth. Real estate market trends. The house's transformation attracted real estate investors. Understanding demand and location allowed me to make a strategic decision, turning the house into an Airbnb instead of selling. Facility management considerations. Building safety and compliance. Restoring an abandoned home meant addressing serious hazards: mold, pests, electrical risks, and weak structural integrity. Managing these issues required coordination with contractors, engineers, and city inspectors. Operational efficiency. A well-managed property isn't just renovated, it's maintained. Facility management means ensuring regular HVAC maintenance, plumbing inspections, and pest control to keep the property in top condition. Sustainable practices. I incorporated eco-friendly elements like energy-efficient lighting, salvaged materials, and proper insulation to reduce long-term costs and increase property value. Legal perspective. The legal aspect of property acquisition and renovation can make or break an investment. Here's what I learned. Property ownership and zoning laws. Land bank purchases come with conditions. The city sold me the house for $1, but I had legal obligations. I had to bring it up to code within a year or risk forfeiting ownership. Zoning restrictions. Since the home was in a historic district, I needed special permits for structural changes. Any mistake could have led to fines or demolition orders. Contract management. Hiring contractors. I learned the hard way that verbal agreements mean nothing. Every contract needed clear payment terms, timelines, and warranties to avoid disputes. Insurance and liability renovation sites are dangerous. I had to secure homeowners' insurance and liability coverage in case of worker injuries or property damage. Rental laws and short-term leasing. Short-term rental regulations. Before turning the house into an Airbnb, I had to ensure compliance with local rental laws, tax requirements, and safety codes, smoke detectors, emergency exits. Tenant rights and responsibilities. If I had chosen long-term leasing, I would need to understand tenant rights, eviction processes, and lease agreements to avoid legal issues. Moral perspective, the ethics of property development. Property and real estate development isn't just about making money, it's about revitalizing communities responsibly. Gentrification vs. community development. Gentrification concerns many abandoned homes in Detroit are bought, renovated, and resold at high prices, forcing out longtime residents who can no longer afford rising property taxes. Responsible development. I consciously renovated without displacing locals, choosing to keep the house in the community through Airbnb instead of flipping it for a quick profit. Historical preservation and respect for the past. Margaret and James' story, finding the old love letters, made me realize that a home isn't just bricks, it holds memories and legacies. Instead of erasing the past, I honored it by preserving historical elements like the fireplace, original woodwork, and letters. Community engagement. Local employment. I hired local contractors and tradespeople, keeping money circulating in the community. Neighborhood involvement. By attending city meetings and engaging with neighbors, I ensured my renovation efforts aligned with the area's long-term goals. Lessons learned. Real estate and investment lessons. Cheap properties often come with hidden costs. A good renovation plan saves money and time. Location and market trends determine long-term value. Sometimes, holding a property is better than flipping it. Facility management lessons. Preventive maintenance saves money in the long run. Energy-efficient upgrades reduce operational costs. A well-managed home increases its marketability and rental income. Legal and ethical lessons. Always read the fine print before purchasing distressed properties. Ensure all renovations meet building codes to avoid legal trouble. Investing in communities should be done responsibly. Final takeaway: a house reborn, a life transformed. Buying a $1 abandoned house seemed like a crazy idea. It turned out to be the best decision of my life. This journey wasn't just about flipping a property, it was about revitalizing a home, honoring its history, and making a smart real estate investment. By applying property management, facility management, and legal knowledge, I turned a wreck into a profitable asset while respecting its past. That's the real magic of real estate, not just buying property, but bringing it back to life. If you find this story enlightened, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel for more content on property, facility, and real estate management business tips. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. God bless you.